Hi everyone, hope you're all well and riding safe. So I've been meaning to do this video for a little while now, and this is a video on a comparison of my new 2022 Kawasaki H2 SX versus my previous 2018 H2 SX SE. Got rid of that one a couple of years ago and missed it and decided to buy the up-to-date one. So I just want to give my thoughts on the differences between the two. I've had the new bike now about 7 months, done about 1600 miles, so you got a good feeling for it. So yeah, just want to, if any of you guys out there are thinking about either upgrading from a 2018 or sorry pre-2022 model, or not sure whether to get a pre-2022 or after 2022, then hopefully this video will help you. So we'll dive straight in. I made a few notes, hence why I keep looking away. So the fairing, whilst they look the same, there are differences of differences to the shape, fastenings, etc., and different colourways. Even though I've gone for the green again, it's got silver in different places, so they have changed them ever so slightly. Something minor which you might not bother you, but I run a Jivy tank bag, and it's one of these that runs on the tank lock rings, so it's not actually touching the tank. The pre-2022 models, the fuel cap ring itself had bolts on the outside, so you can remove the bolts, put the tank ring on. The new model doesn't, and you need a tank ring where you can take off the actual fuel cap and fit to that and secure it underneath. Jivy don't list one on their website, but through trial and error I have found that the one coded BF71, which is listed for some of the other Kawasaki models, does fit the H2 SX. So I've now got that on, and I can use my tank bags for my forthcoming trip to Germany. Then when you move around to the rear of the bike, big difference there is that you've got a big rear towel piece now, because the bike has got blind spot detection in the mirrors fitted, so it's got a big radar sensor on the back to operate this. This does mean fitting a tail tidy if you want to go down that route. It's going to be extremely difficult. I find the blind spot device is brilliant. Don't forget to use your lifesavers, but it certainly helps in traffic if somebody just happens to come up your inside in your blind spot, or you're wanting to overtake and you start to indicate, and it will flash automatically if it senses a vehicle in that blind spot. So that's really good, but it is quite a big bulky back end, so you might not like that, but yeah, I don't really know what you're going to do if you do need to change that. Move around to the front end is different because, like the back end's got the radar on for the blind spot detection, the front has got the radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control, and it's got a different headlight. The adaptive cruise control, it works really well. You can adjust the distance between how close you can travel to the vehicle in front, and you can run it as normal cruise control. You can turn the adaptive off, so really good feature, especially when you're on quite a busy motorway, and you know, rather than keep chopping and changing, you can just leave it set at your normal speed. It will slow you down as required and then speed you back up as the traffic starts to move again. So really good feature, I like that. TFT, so the new models all now come with the TFT screen. I really like the layout of the screen. It's nice and clear. You can run it in 3 different modes. Auto, which means it switches between night and day. You can run it in day or run it in night. I like to run it in the night setting, which is a black background and coloured digits on it. Gives me the feel of the BMW TFT design when it's set in that. So that's how I generally run mine. So yeah, something that the TFT has that I'm not too keen on is the Kawasaki Spin app. It's like a phone mirroring application. So you can connect your phone, it connects via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it's got apps there that you can have on your phone that you can see on the TFT, so you can turn the TFT into a navigation. It's very glitchy in that it will often disconnect on its own. Every time you turn the bike off and want to reconnect, you've got to go through the same process. It doesn't automatically connect. It asks you to confirm. It's just not very user-friendly. You can't use the phone for anything else when it's connected, which means the phone is constantly running, so it's draining battery and the phone gets very hot. Don't know why they just didn't bother using Apple CarPlay or Android Auto and be done with it. They've developed their own thing, which in practice looks good, but in use is not very good. So I'm not too keen on that. The rest of the TFT is great. Centre stand, my previous model had centre stand, new one's got one as well. Find this bike a lot easier to get on the centre stand for some reason, don't know why, but it is. And then the models themselves. So the pre-2022 versions in the UK, we had the H2 SX, which was the standard model, didn't have centre stand, no cornering lights, no LCD, it was very basic. You had the H2 SX SE, which came with those extras that I just talked about, and then you had the H2 SX SE Plus, which had the electronic suspension. And around that there were various different variants. They had a performance variant of all three of those, which included a Kawasaki N-Can and a couple other bits, and then you could have the Tourer version, which included the panniers, and you could have a mix of both Tourer and performance. There were lots of different models. Simplified a bit now with the newer model. You've got the H2 SX and the H2 SX SE. The SX seems to be the equivalent of the old SE because it comes with the cornering lights, centre stand, everything like that. And the SE is equivalent to the old SE Plus, i.e. it's got the electronic suspension. And again, in the UK, you can get the performance and the Tourer versions, which is similar to what I've already mentioned. Something that's often asked about these bikes is servicing costs, etc. How expensive are they? And I believe on the older model, the big service was 18,000 miles. From what I understand, speaking to the dealer, that's now put back to 36,000 miles. And, excuse me, I found general servicing, your running service, your annual 7,500 mile service, not to be any more expensive than any other bike out there. So, yeah, it seems to be pretty normal to run this bike. In fact, it's got a supercharger, doesn't really seem to put the service prices up. Just something I wanted to touch on in terms of the modes, and the previous models would have had this. So you've got different modes on the bike. You've got Sport, which is full power, level 1 traction control. You've got Road, which is full power, level 2 traction control. And you've got Rain, which is low power and level 3 traction control. And then you've got a rider mode, which you can set up yourself. So on the performance or the engine power side, you've got F, M and L, full, medium and low. Medium is approximately 75% of the power, low approximately 50%. And then you've got 4 levels of traction, off, 1, 2 and 3, with 3 being the most intrusive. To give you an idea, Rain mode is set up as low power and level 3 traction control. So what I've done is I've had a play with the modes, and I've set the rider mode up at medium power, so 75%, but traction 1, so the least intervention before you actually turn it off. And I have found for just general day-to-day riding, just bobbing around B roads and stuff like that, where full fat 200 horsepower isn't required all the time, and it sometimes can be a bit too much because it gets up to speed so quick, and yes, you've got your right hand to adjust it, but it can make quite for a frantic ride. Setting the bike in this mode, you can have more of a play with it. You can use more of the throttle, still make good speed, but without getting to the silly speeds that the full fat power gets you to very, very quickly. So you can effectively have 3 bikes in one, because you've got your full fat power for when you've got the right roads and you really want to be on it, etc., etc. You've got the rain mode for when conditions are terrible, or if you're tootling around town and you want that soft throttle response and 100 horsepower is more than enough. And then you've got that rider mode that you can set how you want. So really worth playing about with the modes. I've found that yeah, it just gives you that different dynamic of the bike for different situations. And then suspension, it's got the manually adjustable suspension. I have softened off the settings slightly for myself, because the standard settings I found were a little bit harsh for our crappy roads here in the UK, so I've backed it off slightly, not put it to the soft setting that the manual shows, just put it somewhere in between, and for me that seems to work pretty well. I'm about 5'6", 5'7", weigh around about sort of 11 and a half, 12 stone. Don't ask what that is in kilos. And yeah, that works really well. So modifications, not done too many. Put a little screen flip on the front screen just to help with the air direction. It was the screen deflector I took off my previous bike, so I thought might as well use that. Eventually found a manufacturer that does an NCAN, because the exhaust system is different size. It's bigger on the newer version, and spoke with Pipeworks. They did some investigations and have developed a new can for it. They do 2 versions, 450mm and a 380, and they list the 450 as the road legal version. And the reason for this is, with the new model being Euro 5, Kawasaki managed to make it cleaner by fitting smaller cats. So they are restricting less of the noise. So the shorter end can does make a little bit louder. That's the one I run with, without the baffle. It's not too noisy, but it's obnoxious, but it has got a nice deep tone to it. And certainly as you get up the rev range, it does howl like a 4-cylinder should howl. So yeah, that was good investment. Have a look at Pipeworks' website for the system. What else have I done? Apart from fitting some Krieger loops so I can put Krieger luggage onto the rear, because I don't like running panniers. Put the Jimmy tank ring on, as I said. And that's it. I haven't done anything else to the bike. Not a great deal that needs doing to it. Just on fuel consumption, tend not to buy the bikes like this to worry about it, but people do ask about fuel consumption. General riding, around about 46, 47 to the gallon. That's the UK gallon, which is 4.55 litres. In America, I think it's only 3.8 litres to a gallon, so those figures will be different for people in the US. If you're on it with the supercharger wearing away at high boost, then that's going to eat into that miles per gallon figure quite a bit. But if you're on a tour and you're doing a lot of motorways, that type of thing, that'll easily nudge up to around about 50 miles to the gallon. Worked with the tank size, which I think is 19 litres. 170, 180 miles before you're filling up is easily achievable, and sometimes you can get over the 200. By then you'll probably be wanting to get off and stretch your legs. And that does remind me, there is one other change I've done, and I fitted a cool covers seat cover to the rider seat. Had one on my BMW F900 XR, which I've got a video on if you want to have a look at the review of the seat itself, and they're brilliant. Keep the seat nice and cool, and they really do improve the comfort, so I've stuck one of those on. Apart from that, that's it. I'll put some pictures up of the bike, and there is a separate video clip on my channel of the sound from the Pipeworks. It is static. I haven't been out and done a on-road version yet, but yeah, have a look. Yeah, feel free to drop me any comments if you've got any questions, if you're interested in buying either a pre-22 or post 22 model and want any sort of a help and advice, then yeah, feel free to drop me comments and I'll respond as soon as I can. If you like the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe, and yeah, hopefully let's have a good year's riding ahead of us. So until next time, stay safe everybody, and see you all soon. Okay, cheers, bye.